Well, hello there, everyone. Excuse me. How are you doing? Hello, Mark. Very nice for you to join. I appreciate it. I've got Mr. Chalupa next to me, and Salsa is buried under the big fluffy blanket that she likes so much. Hey, Alps, how are you doing, sweetheart? Hope you are doing well. Are you coming over here, baby? What do you want? Chalupa, of course, is trying to get over here by me or something. Okay, I've always wondered, Albs, see Loopy, is that Chalupa for Chalupa, that he's loopy? Because I've never quite understood that, but I hope you can shed some light for me. Hey there, Insolent Violet. So very nice of you to join. I'm glad this is a nice little surprise for you. Okay, Mr. Chalupa is coming on over here. He sure is. Okay, now you get down. But anyway, here I am. I know I'm looking absolutely fabulous. Yesterday, I did have a procedure on my left hand, and it really was no big deal. I didn't really know what was going to be done because okay, are you trying to sit on top of me? Because you keep ooching on over. Goodness, child. Thank you, Mark, for saying that you always enjoy my videos. I appreciate that. But it was a cortisone shot that went in my arm. Well, somewhere like over here. Oh yeah, that's where it was, right there. So I still have the Band-Aid on it. For some reason, I like Band-Aids. I mean, am I just weird like that? I just really like Band-Aids. It's Chalupa's street name. Oh, Albs, thank you so much. I love that. I love that for him. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Yeah, he's so big, bad, and ferocious. He's the biggest love bug. Here he is. There's a sweet little boy. So you can see his little face. He's a good boy. Very good boy. Anyway, today, okay, now he wants me to just keep on, scratching on him. I am reading from Ponzinomics. Can you guys see? Okay, how far do I need to move this over? It's hard for me to be able to tell. Ponzinomics, and we are on page 101. Well, 100, it tells us it's anatomy of a pyramid scheme. Okay, I'm trying to see if I'm getting this up here correctly for you guys to see it. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I want you guys to think, as I read this, it always sparks things in my little brain. Okay, are you trying to get on top of me? Really right where the computer is and everything? Y'all can see his ear, right? You have an Audible? Yeah, I like Audible. And it is available there. And I will put the link, goodness, in chat. And just so you know that, yes, if you get anything from my link, this one is going straight to Ponzinomics, but I do have a Amazon store, shop, whatever. But this is linking, I think, just to the Ponzinomics. So there you go. I know it's really kind of long and everything. But anyway, I earn a very small commission. I have not earned enough commission off of Amazon to even get a check from them or, money transferred over, whatever the heck they use. I say check because, what can I say? I'm an old fart. I'm used to checks and nobody really uses them anymore. I don't really use them anymore. But I guess it's just kind of like one of those things that it just, comes out of my mouth. He wants to be the star of the show. Yes, he does. He is a good boy. He's a very good boy. And he's happy to be by mommy. Okay. So you guys, what I want you to do is think about any company that you have maybe you're a part of, maybe you are part of, maybe you're thinking of joining, maybe you've researched a company, but basically any company that comes to your mind, we can chat about what you think about that. So you guys can, put what you want to in the chat. Okay. Anatomy of a pyramid scheme. Just a few questions. On a regular basis, confused and frustrated reporters who have examined MLM for an assigned story call on me for quotes, but mostly to help them understand the business. Despite years of examining various industries and with college or advanced education, they confess they just don't understand what they have seen. Outwardly, MLM looks like a sales company, they admit. There are products, purchases, commissions, and profit margins. I don't know if you guys heard that. We are having a tremendous thunderstorm going on, and it's like, thunder, lightning, all that stuff's going on right now. So if you hear something in the background, that's probably it. Hopefully, I will not lose power. That's all I can say. Okay. Yet they cannot grasp fundamentals such as who sells the products and who the customers are, how the demand for the products is generated, and most confusingly, how they pay rewards. The compensation plan, they note, is particularly unfathomable. A jumble of quotas, ranks, rules, percentages, all with bizarre and theatrical titles. They just have a few questions for me, they say, not realizing those questions will lead to answers they cannot print. Hey, Beth, how are you doing, sweetheart? I always begin my analysis by trying to turn their confusion into the most important fact to report. If seasoned, well-educated journalists can't figure out MLM, what chance does an ordinary consumer have? I remind them, maybe too early in the conversation, that such confusing terms and details are the classic hallmarks of flim-flam, scams, and sophisticated cons. They all tell me the same story. An online search turned up scores of websites promising independent reviews and analysis, or even warnings about MLMs. But following these links led only to promotions and solicitations. Many sites are clickbait or bots. Other sites are unabashed enrollment pitches with over-the-top praise, excitement, and ridiculous claims of income. In confusion and frustration, some reporters tell me, just for a moment, they themselves wondered if MLM might be good to join, given their own pay and job insecurity. A multi-million-dollar enterprise with millions of salespeople, a business so popular it is all over social media, yet there is almost nothing useful for due diligence or research purposes on the internet. Nothing in the business press and nothing about it from government sources. Reporters are assigned by their editors to report on whether certain companies are legitimate MLMs or pyramids, or at least show people how to tell the difference. Their searches eventually turn up my website, Pyramid Scheme Alert, or a news story about some MLM in which I am quoted. Here we go again. Groundhog Day for me. What is the difference between MLM and a pyramid scheme? They all want to know. Hey there, I'm going to probably say your name wrong. Mubarak Alam, and you have 3 pink hand wavings. Thank you. I love the pink hand wavings. Those always make me so happy. And hang on, I just got a message from my hubby. All right, sorry about that. Okay, and Sweet Goth, it's good to see you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for showing up. I always enjoy you on Twitter. Oh, Mark, thank you so very much for this super sticker. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. And Beth says, so many of those sites, it's almost ridiculous. It makes it hard when researching MLMs, and I think that's why they do it. Yep, me too. Me too. Oh, you're listening with the little one? Okay. I'm glad. Tell Hannah hi for me. Well, hi, Hannah. I hope you heard me, and please give her a hug from me because she is just so adorable. All right, so let me get a sip of something. Oh, I gotta open up my very fancy blood orange water from HEB. You would think that I'm like pitching this stuff as much as I talk about it when I'm streaming, but no, I just like it. Oh, that's yummy. That's so yummy. And welcome, Yogesh. I don't know if I said your name correctly or not, but she goes Wonderbot. Oh, that's so sweet. I like that. Okay, and now I just got my book wet because my hands were wet from opening up that. Well, it'll dry out, right? It'll dry out. Okay. So anyway, what is the difference between MLM and a pyramid scheme? They all want to know. I begin the analysis, a dissection of the MLM anatomy, starting not with a question, but by pointing out the reporter's own research experiences. Whatever MLM is, you can't know it until you have removed the outer costume, the hype, the claims, and presentations, which are demonstrably useless or misleading. Relying on the outer costume, you cannot possibly understand it. And none of those millions of consumers who did rely on those presentations understood it when they signed up and paid. As for the pay plan, the reporters tried and failed to calculate. They could not possibly understand it. No one could. There are far too many variables, each affecting the others. Without systematic study, it is beyond comprehension. But even then, the only way you could actually understand how it works out in practice is to join. That way, you would see how see how all the variables interact from experience, but then it is too late. I make a feeble stab at ironic humor on the pyramid question. To answer the question about the difference between MLM and a pyramid scheme, I asked the reporters to first define MLM, the subject of their story. A pyramid scheme robbing Peter to pay Paul with unsustainable expansion is understandable. But they asked me to distinguish MLM from a pyramid scheme. So I asked them, please explain what they mean by MLM. Silence. Then a realization. OMG. The reporters actually do not know exactly what MLM is. A type of direct selling, right? You sell and you recruit a team to sell, right? Do they sell, I ask? And aren't they recruiting their own competitors for sales? Have they ever seen any MLMers selling? Why would anyone need a personal salesperson for skin cream? Ever bought something from an MLM salesperson without also being recruited to become a salesperson for the scheme? No. All have been recruited directly and online various times. It always felt weird and sleazy. I point out that they did not realize that they did not know what MLM is until after I asked. They just thought they knew, like millions of others. If they enrolled, they would have joined a business they couldn't explain. And with a pay plan, they didn't understand. That's how it works for everybody. So let's first define MLM, and then we can compare. I say this won't take long, I promise. Great. Sorry, I got to get another sip. I do have some tea here too. Okay. Spoiler alert. Despite the reporter's initial excitement at finally unraveling the mystery of MLM, the stories that are later published do not address the startling fact that what reporters thought MLM was only a vague and erroneous notion not based on facts. The stories that are published in my Groundhog Day experiences do not say that the MLM pay plan, the key to its claims of unlimited income, is unfathomable, and anyone signing up for income cannot possibly know what they are getting into. To have written that people have either no clue how MLM works or have a wrong impression of what MLM is would reveal MLM as a massive and carefully set consumer trap, causing tens of billions in losses each year due to deception, or at least to keep facts being purposefully withheld. It might mean a disinformation or cover-up by the MLM industry, ignored, perhaps deliberately, by law enforcement. You ran out of tea, so you're getting some more. I totally understand that one. I plunge on. I say MLM's financial proposition cannot be understood without accurately defining it, which requires some separation into defining parts. Then the truth becomes obvious in plain sight. This is not rocket science, but its obviousness is also why MLM promoters use extreme persuasion and diversion measures of emotion, fear, and utopian promises. It's why the reporters encountered the fake websites and false testimonials to prevent a deeper examination. But I get ahead of myself. I walk the reporters through the defining elements of what is called multi-level marketing. There are only 4. 1, endless chain. Everyone knows in theory an endless recruiting chain with each level larger than the one before is mathematically impossible and unsustainable. With each person recruiting just 5 others, the Earth's population is exceeded after just 13 levels. Markets are limited. There are only so many people to sign up. That obvious fact dooms most to lose because most are always at the bottom. If one person recruits 5, who recruit 25, who recruit 125, the bottom levels will always be over 80% of the total. And that percent never appreciably changes, even if the chain grew to 125 million. Last ones in always lose, and they are always the vast majority. So how could MLM operate with such a defining structure? All of them do. That is how they promise unlimited income. Some have as many as 12 or more defined ranks or levels, and always the last person to join can recruit an endless number of more salespeople ad infinitum. What would be the sales purpose for each? An impossible structure for management. An entire country could be easily managed with 3 management levels, with 1 or just a few people in each position, national, regional, district, overseeing the local sales force. Is there not some limit to the number of salespeople an area can bear or needs? Reporters agree that MLMs are defined uniquely by their endless recruiting chain of salespeople, in which everyone is also a recruiter, manager, and there is no level that is defined only as sales without also being authorized to recruit. We agree from a sales and management perspective, this seems to make no sense, and nearly all that join have to lose based on their position. Hey, Jelly Snack, thanks for joining. 2, pay to play. We observe that to work in an MLM as a sales contractor, you have to pay an enrollment fee. Then to benefit from the bonuses flowing up to you from your recruits, you have to keep paying, buying a quota of stuff monthly. But why? You are not told where you are on the chain or how many others are already operating in your area or have joined before you. You have no protected territory. You cannot use media advertising. You don't have the benefit of company advertising or sales leads. The company keeps adding more and more salespeople in your area and encouraging you to recruit your own competitors. You cost the company nothing. You pay for marketing materials, fees for motivational events, even business cards. On the other hand, you have severe restrictions under the MLM contract you must sign when you first enroll. You can't recruit for several MLMs at the same time. You can't even criticize the company or its products. You can't sell your products on eBay or in a store. You can't participate in a class action suit, yet all MLMs require payment to join, payment to renew, and quotas of purchases or recruiting or both to gain overrides on your own recruits. The reporters agree that from a business perspective, required payments and quota purchases seem unjustified and would likely result in many people soon quitting under the burden of monthly costs if they were not successful in recruiting enough people. And we already figured out that it is mathematically impossible for the majority to be successful recruiters. Number 3, back to my water. So yummy. Number 3, recruiting mandate. No one needs a PhD to know this one. All recruits figure this out in a matter of days. To gain the promised income in MLM, you have to recruit selling door to door or at a marked up retail price is absurd in the era of eBay, Amazon, and Costco. Selling online when thousands of others are selling the same products at the same pricing is similarly fruitless. Trying to develop customers while the company keeps adding competitors and offering your customers the wholesale price as preferred customer or discount buyer is also absurd. MLM is direct selling in name only. In reality, it is all about recruiting. The people on the stage at motivation events that make the big bucks are not door-to-door salespeople, but black hat, Top Gun recruiters. The reporters agree that if you don't recruit, you don't make money. The endless chain income proposition only makes sense if you are a recruiter. The exponential math, 5 recruit 25, who recruit 125, who recruit 625, etc., that is shown during the presentation only works if you recruit the first 5 and all of them do too. And we had already figured out that it is mathematically impossible for everyone to recruit more people. From a business perspective, we also had already figured out that required payments seemed unjustified and would likely result in many people soon quitting under the burden of monthly costs. Well, for myself, I know when I was with Beachbody, we had to have personal volume. And the way that that was achieved was typically with a subscription to, what is it called? Crap, no, I can't think. What is it called? Shakeology. There it is, Shakeology. And then when the Beachbody On Demand was offered, that was like part of it too, which Beachbody On Demand is now completely different. So, you know, everything that he's selling, I completely relate to from my own personal experience. This is your own, oh, Ron. I'm glad you're enjoying this jelly snack. Okay. Okay, I finished all that. Number 4, extreme money transfer from bottom to top. And then we come to the defining element of MLM that caused the reporters not only confusion, but also momentarily inclined them away from hard facts and towards MLM's dream visions and fake testimonials of happiness and wealth. This defining element dumbfounds and diverts new recruits. It involves the incomprehensible pay formula with its charts and rates, titles, rules, points. In John Oliver's famous expose of MLM on HBO, he played an actual and typical video clip of a slick MLM promoter explaining how extraordinary and simple the pay plan is. Within 3 sentences, the listener is lost in complexity and incomprehensible variables. This guile of claiming simplicity of something hopelessly complicated is to get the listener to abandon due diligence and just accept the wondrous assurances of the promoter without understanding anything. He said it is simple, so it must be my fault for not understanding the explanation. But here's the thing. I assure the reporters you don't need to go through that torture or fall for the diversion. Right on the surface and without need of algebra, the most significant aspect of the MLM recruiting pay formula is visible and understandable. The formula, I remind them, is only based on overrides gained from having recruited a downline. And we already determined that recruiting is the only actual way to make money. In MLM, sales means recruiting. Retail means wholesale. The price paid by the downliner, and since everyone on the chain must meet a purchase quota, salesperson means buyer. Got it? I further remind the reporters that we had already determined that oops, did you guys hear that? That the pyramid structure always places the majority at the bottom. This is all in plain view or can be figured out pretty quickly. Come on, Chalupa. Come on. Come on up here, baby. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Sounds like, oh, you're bringing up someone. Body is going through another class action lawsuit. Yeah, I knew about one. I don't know if it's the same. Oh, you came up here by yourself. See, you can do it all along. I don't know if that's the same one that I'm aware of or not. But the one I'm aware of is in California and only in California. So let me know if that's the same one, Sweet Goth. Getting all kinds of messages here. Making sure nothing is important. Okay. Just my friend responding to something. You'll send the links? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. What, baby? Do you want to open? Okay, let me open the door for Chalupa. I think that's what he wants because he's whining. Hang on. And then I'll tell you about what I found that works to make Little Miss not like get all hussy with him. Hey, Lisa. Thanks for joining, sweetheart. Come on, guys. Come on, you want to go outside? I mean, not outside, but, out of here. You want to go up and get water or something? Come on, Chalupa. Okay. I opened the door a crack. And now I'll come back on my bed. Okay. So let me tell you guys what I found works. This was on, something takeout. And I did something with it one time when Salsa was around, like to her to get her attention. And oh my goodness, she sees this and becomes extremely docile. And she's like, she thinks it's going to harm her. It's like, it's not going to do anything. It's just making a big noise. So I've got that. Oh, Sherry, so it was kind of boring. Well, I'm not surprised. I did hear that OConnect looks like it got some cosmetic changes. Not so sure what's going on under the hood. Excuse me. All right. Well, it would help if I didn't have the book upside down now, wouldn't it? Okay. Okay, I did read that. I'm trying to see where I'm at. Okay. Oh, yeah. But here's the thing. Just beyond the pyramid shape of the plan in which the great majority of recruits are positioned at the end of the chain, and before you get to all those rules, quotas, and ranks, there is a basic calculation. It's simple arithmetic. It is the allocation of commission rates to each level. Just add them up and you will immediately see that the pay plan designates that the lower level recruiters, the majority, benefit the least when and if they do make a sale. The reward plan for sales has been turned upside down. So not only are most people in the bottom, where they have little or no downline and therefore little or no income, but even when individuals do recruit some others, they still won't make a profit. The money they might have gained is transferred to the upper levels in extreme. You work in IT support. Okay, Jelly Snack says that she works in IT support, and it felt like I was listening to a bunch of struggling users. Oh my goodness, I bet. And yes, they are very defensive of it. Hence, I got a strike. And my attorney has written a response to that. Okay, this payout formula, unique to MLM, as is its endless chain of salespeople, contradicts all conventional sales compensation plans. In real sales businesses, the highest rate on each transaction is allocated to the persons making the sales, with diminishing and much smaller rates paid to each layer of managers above. Overall, in true sales companies, the great majority of the total commissions paid on each transaction goes to the lowest levels of the chain where the sales are actually made or directly managed. Collectively, the upper management receives a much smaller portion of total commissions. Individually, upper managers may earn more in a total each year due to their position and responsibility, but they never get more of the total commissions on each transaction. In MLM, the opposite occurs. In MLM, I remind them sales means recruiting. Money is made by recruiting new salespeople who then buy product based on a quota for eligibility in the pay plan. In a research report published in 2008, I examined the payout disclosures of 11 multi-level marketing companies that serve as representatives of the industry. It showed that all of the companies transferred more than 50% of total payouts to the top 1% in the network in a single year, and much more than that for the top 4%. The true percentage of profitable participants in a multi-year time frame shrinks to a tiny percentage. The vast majority gains nothing at all because they failed to recruit anyone or not enough and soon quit. John Oliver's HBO show showed one major MLM in which over 95% of all salespeople received no commissions at all. Zero. Those near the bottom who do not try to recruit get a pittance of total commissions paid on their sales, purchases made by their new recruits after being enrolled. A senior FTC economist, retired Peter Vandernat, wrote, "Unbeknownst to general participants, the terms of the pyramid compensation plan secure the result that the vast majority will fail to obtain monetary rewards." Oh my goodness. Okay, so Sherry says that Marty was licking his chops about all the new customers flocking in. But, I just really wonder, are they actual customers? Have they bought anything? Will they buy anything? Are there really as many people as what they're told, like being held back? Lisa says, like Twain said, it is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Oh my goodness. Lisa, that is a perfect quote for all of this. Absolutely. And that's really what we face when, dealing with people who have joined onpassive. And the people in here know that I've reported a lot on onpassive because of all of the jankiness that I've witnessed, whether it is in their webinars that went out to the public when they were in recruiting before July 22. I think in 22 is when they stopped the recruiting. Hey, Lamar. Lamar says, I'm so glad you joined, Lamar. What's worse, the fool or the people following the fool? And you know what? I would say yes. Oh, let me put this down so I get my full enjoyment of my heating pad thing. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Lamar. I liked that a lot. Consumer advocate Dr. John Taylor. Are you guys familiar with John Taylor? Because I have showed you the, let me see if I have it in here. I think I do have it. Do I have it in here? Maybe it's, let me look, because I have this in here somewhere. And I can remove myself and show you. Yeah. Okay. And let me remove myself. And I'm not going down to the bottom. Okay, let me just remove myself. Okay, I wanted you guys to see that. And that is the image that John Taylor had created, which shows the levels of just one person that reached Blue Diamond in a particular MLM. And I will change it back to the other one. I need to pop that over here so I can put it in as a kind of a slide thing and pop that up. Okay, let's do this again. Okay. All right. We're back. Consumer advocate Dr. John Taylor analyzed the pay plans of most of the larger MLM companies. He called the typical MLM pay plan top weighted a gentle way of describing a classic system of transferring most of the money from the bottom, the proverbial last ones in, to recruiters and owners at the peak of the pyramid. The trigger for the higher payout rate is the total purchase volume of the entire downline of the enrollees. The more they work, the more is transferred out of their hands directly to those at the top. This upside-down top-weighted formula was present in the Neutralite plan, the very first MLM. Did you guys know that Neutralite was the first MLM? Anyone? Raise your hand if you did. I mean, figuratively. And it has never changed in 75 years for all the MLM that were created. In that first MLM, the lowest rank qualified to gain a monthly bonus would receive 5%, which is the difference between his lower price and the higher price charged to his new recruit. On that same purchase transaction in which the recruiter gained 5%, the levels above him received 20% collectively. 4 times more is paid to those that did nothing at all than is paid to the one that actually made it happen. The pay formula also added in special bonuses when higher volumes were reached by a recruiter's downline. The result is just to add more payment per transaction to top ranks. At this point, I email my mini reporters a graphic showing how all this works in a simplified format entitled The Perverse Proportions of a Pyramid Pay Plan, based on the work of the late Dr. Taylor. Fascinated but now also horrified at the picture that is emerging and is still clinging to the identity of MLM as direct selling, reporters typically now ask why the formula for recruiting bonuses is turned upside down. By now, most understand the absence of a retail profit opportunity, the impossibility of the endless chain, the absolute and impossible requirement for recruiting, and how the pyramid puts most at the bottom where they can't make money. But why would MLM also turn the recruiting pay formula upside down, they ask? We are now descending into the deepest level of the MLM scheme, the point where the other steps of deception trigger the money transfer swindle. I explained that the upside-down reward plan is essential and it fits tightly and integrally with the other elements we discussed. The unsustainable structure, the unjustified payments and purchase requirements, and unrelenting and impossible recruiting mandate. As we already determined, there is no sustainable retail customer base, no real demand for the goods, no need for a personal salesperson, and therefore little to no retail selling. But there is a tremendous market for income opportunity. That market has been drawing in more people since MLM began in 1945 and then grew tremendously since the mid-1970s. Today, it includes students with college debt, seniors facing mountains of medical bills and disappearing savings, families with unbearable rents, people already working 2 jobs, immigrants trying to survive, and military spouses facing multiple deployments, among others. The income opportunity market is exploding. It's just that, unfortunately, and fully known to the owners and top promoters of MLM, the MLM income opportunity, the one based on recruiting, does not exist. It is a phantom, a lure. It is the promised reward that cannot and will not be delivered. The actual plan results by design in more than 99% of participants losing money. Such a plan can only reward a tiny number the owners and the few at the top of the recruiting chains. But for them to reap their reward, all the others must lose. It is the losers of those countless others that are transferred up and called income for owners and top levels. Those losses are predetermined, baked into the plan and structure. The fourth defining element is called money transfer. To distinguish it from justified rewards based on creating value and producing true profit. The upside down pay plan, I say frankly, now that we have laid out the whole picture, may seem to be a kind of insult piled on injury. It is not arbitrary, though. It is necessary. It is based on the most basic fact about the plan that the last ones in cannot be successful. They are doomed by the endless chain design. They lost when they signed up. Why would the company lighten the hit? It would make no sense to waste commissions on them. They will be quitting soon. As many as 80% of the latest recruits do quit within the first year of joining, but they are replaced. Some move on to other MLMs, replacing the dropouts at those companies. The object is to get them to buy as much as possible. That's why there are purchase quotas. For as long as possible, that's why they are promised unlimited income. If they keep buying, and if they miss even 1 month, they lose everything and get as much from them, the extreme money transfer formula, as possible while they enrolled and buying. The lost investments of new recruits who are seeking the legendary income opportunity are the primary revenue source of the MLM company. The top weighted MLM plan rewards those that do the enterprise's most valuable work toward gaining that revenue. They add the most value to the enterprise as it is designed. That value they add is not measured by their individual sales or even the sales of their recruits. Those sales come after a person is persuaded and enrolled. Value is measured by their contribution to the company's mission. But what is that mission? I am asked hesitantly, betraying a dread of my answer. It's to deceive all the new recruits about non-existent income opportunity. It is to get them to believe. MLMs seek to capture the mind of the recruit. Money will follow. The more they believe, and the longer they believe, the more money the company gets from them. The Top Gun recruiters audaciously repeat and act out the big lie on stage, on videos, with their lifestyle, their politics, and their claims of success. The Top Gun recruiters orchestrate the recruiting campaigns and serve as role models for all who desperately hope to get to the top where they too will have success, not understanding that only 1% of a percent can be there. The black hat recruiters and the company owners play the roles of guru, the holders of ancient secrets to success, totally fulfilled and enlightened persons. They persuade recruits that they must become like them or be doomed to live as losers. Hi, Salsa. Inevitably, at this point in the calls that had begun so blithely, I sense a line has been crossed and the mood has shifted away from further inquiry. Questions stop. A point was reached earlier where the reporters already realized that this story, regardless of its veracity, would never be published. I finish it off anyway. So we can see, I say, the 4 defining elements of MLM: endless chain, pay to play, recruiting mandate, and money transfer are exactly the elements of a pyramid scheme. A portrait of one is a replica of the other, but both rely on deception. Both cause the last ones in to lose. You pay to join an endless chain. You find others to also join to get some of their money for yourself. You falsely promise every new person they will make money when they bring others in, and if they don't, they lose out. And the money from the new people is the money the earlier people receive. Though I am not asked but just to round out the portrait, I explain that most naked pyramids eventually collapse when not enough new people join, resulting in others not getting their rewards. The chain breaks, but MLM is not recognized as a pyramid scheme because its true anatomy is disguised. Its endless chain keeps breaking, but is repaired as new people replace the losers. MLM is officially designated as direct selling. It is legitimate. So people keep joining, lured by deception and driven by hope and need. Even though the data exists showing that over 90% loses rates. It was even explained comically by John Oliver on HBO. Few people believe it. Because how could that be true? And it is also be legitimate. MLM, they are told, sits at the head table of the Chamber of Commerce. It has the support of Congress. Its shares of stock are traded on Wall Street. The courts and FTC affirm it is legal. Top celebrities and star athletes endorse it. Even President Trump promoted several MLMs. So the losers, they conclude, must be market-based, the fault of the losers. Buyer beware. Work harder. Be positive. Losses only happen to average people. The opportunity is real. It's the American dream and all that. Now the reporters usually thank me sullenly and quickly end the phone call. The articles that are published almost always quote the Direct Selling Association about the popularity of direct selling, about average incomes of direct sellers, and how those don't make money just didn't want to, or didn't try hard enough. They just enrolled to get a wonderful product at a discount. A photo of a winner is featured smiling in front of a display of skin lotions. Six-figure incomes are cited as possible. I am quoted as a critic, claiming that MLMs operate as pyramid schemes, but the article also notes the FTC says MLM is legitimate. The persuasive proportions of a pyramid pay plan. This illustration shows a plan that expands with each rep recruiting just 2 others to qualify for company bonuses. Each rep purchases or sells just $1,000 a year, or about $80 a month, a conservatively typical MLM figure. The pay plan shows the bonus increasing from 5% to 15% only when the downline reaches 10 levels. So when level 9 recruits someone in level 10, level 9 gets 5% of the sale, but the person at the top gets 15%, and the other levels collectively get 30% on that same sale. Additionally, the 15% will be paid on the deepest level, which always consists of 50% of the entire organization, increasing the total payout to the top tremendously. And here is, can you see, which way do I need to? I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Where am I going? Trying to show what is up here. Can you guys see that? So if you don't have the book, it's going to be hard to see it, but there you go. Hey, catch up crew, Louise in a swamp. Glad to see ya. Glad to see you. What Robert is describing sounds much better than on passive. Well, possibly. Let's round this on out. So now there's bullet points underneath this table. Total purchases by 10 level downline, 2,046,000. Total residual override payments to top position and 10 level downline, 1,024,100. 50% of wholesale revenue. 50% of all sales reps will always be at the bottom level, regardless of how large the organization becomes. The one person in the top position purchases or sells no more than any other rep, but makes approximately as much money as all the people in levels 7 through 10 combined, which is 1,920 people, or 94% of the entire organization. The one person in the top position represents 1/20th of 1% of the total organization, and the total purchases but receive 20% of all company bonuses. The top position in levels 1 through 3 receive 50% of all the company bonuses, but represent only 3/4 of 1% of the total organization. 15 people receive as much money as 2,032 combined, though each purchased the same amount of product. I think at 7 my time, so it is now 6:13. This next part is called Secrets of the Pyramid. And I think I will read this at a later time. If you would like me to keep going, let me know in chat if you would like me to keep reading, because I can. I don't mind keep reading. Let me know if you would like me to keep doing that. Just let me know in the chat. This is me sort of dancing. It's kind of sad looking. But, you know, it is what it is. So just, you guys let me know in the chat if I should go on. Secrets, Ancient and Modern is what the first part is called. Jelly Snack says, yes! Okay. And Sweet Goss says, yes! Thank you, guys. The ancient pyramids famously hold archaeological and architectural secrets related to their massive scale, near perfect symmetry, and mysterious alignment with stars. For answers, many people consider mystic knowledge, alien intervention, or supernatural powers over the planar explanations of mathematics, physics, and astronomy known and practiced by the priestly leaders. You just bought a copy of the book off of my link. Thank you, Alps, for doing that. I appreciate it. And I'll put it in here again for you guys. If anybody wants to purchase this, because you can get the book, you can get it on Kindle, you can get an audiobook, you can get a paperback. It's up to you. Oh, and so that you guys know, I got Robert's first book that I will also read to you guys. There's my link that I will read to you guys that is now out of print, and I found it on Amazon I was like, oh my gosh, and it was like at a really decent price. So I was like, yes, I'm getting that. And I have his most recent book too. And then I have like John Atak's book, several from Stephen Hassan. So, I mean, I've got quite a few books that relate to this. I also have different books on cults. I'm sorry, I'm reaching for my Bliss text because I can't stand for my lips to be dry. I should probably even put this, as a link, because I got it off of Amazon. I shop off of Amazon like all the damn time. Hence, that's why I've done some unboxings, which I'm having a bunch of stuff delivered in the next several days. I've bought a bunch of stuff since I did my last Amazon haul. And I haven't done one just because I haven't felt it. Sometimes you just aren't feeling it. Okay. What is a genuine mystery, however, is exactly how the pyramids were viewed by the unnamed masses who built and paid for them. How were so many mobilized? How were the funds obtained for projects that aggregized so few at the expense of so many? Archaeologists say the public was led to believe the pyramids were monuments to sacred beliefs and that working on them would lead to divine rewards. Modern pyramid beliefs, Ponzinomics, have spread to many areas of finance and public life, such as housing speculation and unpayable debt. Yet it is the institution of multi-level marketing that truly permeates American society, enrolling 1 in 6 American households every year and explicitly teaching Ponzinomics dogma. MLM is America's monument to Ponzinomics, as the ancient pyramids were to the beliefs of that era. Holding ceremonial spectacles in enormous stadiums and posing on stage as high priests possessing sacred secrets, MLM promoters tout their schemes as the fulfillment of the mystic American dream. They flaunt their own wealth as proof they can align the stars, so to speak, to deliver success and happiness to followers. They gain enormous wealth and near worship from awestruck followers who suffer financial loss, debt, and social alienation, building the MLM pyramids with their own money and free labor. Oh, you think it is at 6 p.m. and that's Pacific time? So if it's 6 there, then that would be 8 here, I think. I've seen it here like at 7, I think. So I can look for you like when it comes on. I will do that. Oh, goodness. French Fried Girl is on talking about Foodie Beauty. Okay. What is the name of the channel? Do you guys know? Because I'm like putting in Oron and I'm not finding anything. Is it Ron Holt? Ron, and his last name starts with an H. I think I might have found something. Wait, let me see. Oh, there's a whole bunch of things that are coming up. Not his channel, though. So I'm sorry. I'm like having there. I finally found it. Goodness. Oh, this can't be right. Let's see. There's only 20 subscribers and one video about being your own boss. So I'm not sure, but it might pop up. So I will just, look over here on occasion if that will work for you guys. Okay, that's what I thought, but I'm not finding the correct YouTube channel. So if you do know his channel, please let me know. Put it in chat because I will be able to grab it from over here when I have it up on YouTube versus as me when I'm over there on StreamYard. Because I'm on StreamYard, presenting this to you. So if you can put it there, that would be great. And I will be able to get it. Only in O cannot. Okay. Do you have a link for him in YouTube, or does he not have a link in YouTube? Oh, you don't think it streams to YouTube? Huh. That's interesting. And Jelly Snack, I'm not going to like share anybody doing anything with this company until this whole strike thing is taken care of. I don't want to encourage more. Okay, behind the MLM myth and rituals hidden from view are the mundane tools and techniques to create illusions for deceiving and dominating the MLM workers. Uncovering MLM's pyramid secrets requires piercing the symbolic facade in the same way archaeologists expose the math, physics, and astronomy behind the mysterious pyramids that struck wonderment among people of their times and incite imaginations even today. In particular, two of the modern pyramid secrets that will now be revealed bear special notice. They are basic aspects of pyramid scheme structure, well understood by designers, Mittinger and Castleberry. Yet for the millions who were enrolled, like the countless souls who built and paid for the ancient pyramids, remain obscured by diversions, deceptions, and magical beliefs. Oh, okay. You meant for a critical thinker to share it. Thank you, Jelly Snack, for um, clearing that up. The saturation secret. In a pyramid scheme, the marks are roped in with a pitch that seems true enough and entirely feasible. Surely you know 5 other people, and they will each know 5 others, right? Now you already have 30 on your team. Only if the math is continued does the plan show its absurdity. The last 30 will also have to gain 30 each in the same way, adding 900 new people, and those 900 will have to find 27,000 who will need 810,000. Very soon, those at the bottom will not find their own 30, maybe not even one. As Lee Mittinger privately explained to his future partner, William Castleberry, when they formulated the blueprint of all future MLMs, it would lead to everyone on Earth eventually selling for Neutralite. In Carl Rodenberg's biography, Mittinger described the plan's electrifying promise of an expanding chain, transferring unlimited income to each new recruiter as a joke. He knew full well that finding just 5 others who are actually interested and will pay is not sure at all. And if the 5 are found, their 5 others often turn out to be each other or their mutual friends. Long before overall saturation arrives, local and individual network saturation breaks the chain. The awe-inspiring vision of a pot of gold, money from an enormous pyramid of social connections, blinds people not only to the reality of saturation and chain breakage, but even to the funding source itself, their own money. All that is occurring is money being moved around inside the chain, a closed market. Virtually nothing is generated in the real open market. The MLM money transfer in the recruiting chain is equivalent to promising 10 people that if they each invest $10 into a common fund, each and every one of the 10 people could get the fund's total of $100. Yes, critical thinker, you can. You most certainly can. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate that. Where am I? Over here. From Mittiner's perspective, the illusion of everyone on Earth signing up was just part of the inside story. The secret knowledge that the company would possess and that the newly recruited salespeople, the target for revenue, would not know or understand. As Neutralite was rolled out with the new plan and began to draw in hundreds of thousands of hopeful adherents, its saturation secret would mesmerize and confound those being propositioned, even as they lost money and quit in vast numbers, and were replaced by their recruits, who experienced the same predetermined outcome. It would also confuse regulators, who were asked to recognize inevitable saturation as the blatant red flag of the inherent deception of a pyramid scheme swindle. Thank you, critical thinker. We will have fun. Yes, we will. Because why? We're the fun people. We're really fun. Even though I'm told I'm an evil woman. I'm told all kinds of things in my comments. It's really interesting. And it's also like, wow. That's what I just do. Is like, wow. Oh gosh, and you guys do not know, you don't watch the foodie beauty stuff, but there's one person who follows foodie, and I love their intro of it because they have mashed together several songs with images of foodie beauty, and one of it is it shows foodie saying "wow" several times, and I always just that wow, it just cracks me up each and every time. Which I have not watched anything of hers today from any of the, reaction channels, which, my channel can be considered a reaction channel when I react and provide commentary to anything that is put out by a company or a person that I want to share publicly and discuss publicly, that I'm allowed to do that, to have commentary on that with you guys. But, for some reason, they think that that's just not allowed. You just can't do that, even though you're providing transformative content by doing that. Anyway, staying one step ahead of attrition. Before the plan was enacted in late 1945, Neutralite continued to languish, leaving Carl Rodenberg with little bargaining leverage, yet still driven by his lifelong ambition to become rich and famous. When the contract was signed, Mittinger and Castleberry, still working at the munitions factory, gained complete control over sales and marketing, the sector that controlled the company's and Rodenberg's future. With their pooled psychological persuasion methods and sales manipulation techniques, Mittinger and Castleberry grasped that the endless chain plan would cause an explosion of signups. With insight into the plan's skyrocketing power and its outcome of massive losses for the recruits, Mittinger also foresaw that the challenge facing the new pyramid selling company was not going to be a scenario of total market penetration. Rather, it was how to sustain the recruiting when the illusion of unlimited opportunity lost its mystique, and people discovered that virtually no one actually is making the promised money. The marketing challenge is to keep the expansion illusion vivid and commercially viable, and never to give away the pyramid secret that saturation prevented unending expansion. With this realization, Mittinger understood that the only way company revenue growth could be ultimately sustained would be to keep opening new territories or to target new population sectors. He needed to go where the reality of loss rates was not yet known and the illusion of unlimited expansion was still believed. The teams of sales canvassers Mittinger had previously managed selling cemetery plots faced the local saturation scenario regularly. Their customers seldom needed more than one gravesite and funeral plan. This is why he and his sales teams were constantly traveling outside the local area. In the pyramid plan, local saturation and growing local awareness of consumer losses continuously eroded the base, as if it were built on sand. Nutrilite, the first and for several years the only multi-level marketing company, was able to forestall a saturation phase by moving sequentially to every state in the country, facing no competitor and therefore no advanced knowledge among consumers about how pyramid selling worked. By 1954, after an 8-year recruiting run, a decline had finally become for the company. In the future, as more MLM companies were formed, this process would shorten in time. The plan was promoted as capable of expanding ad infinitum. But just 2.5 years after launching, Southern California was already becoming saturated with Nutrilite distributors, making further growth for the industrious new recruits very difficult. The question of saturation often is reduced by absurdity, by asking whether a person could find even one new recruit, presuming if just one person could be recruited, that saturation and therefore the existence of a pyramid scheme is absent. In reality, as the experience of Nutrilite recruiters in saturated Southern California revealed, the challenge is not to find just one new person. To be successful, many, perhaps thousands, must be found, factoring a 50% or more annual dropout rate, or a dropout rate of over 75% of the newest recruits. The income proposition requires a vast population of prospects for each person. In the confusing debates and legal wrangling over saturation, it is often forgotten that wherever the industrious recruits go, even to other countries, they will only benefit themselves at the cost of virtually all others they rope in, who will be doomed to financial loss. The saturation secret protects the pyramid's bigger secret. It causes its harm the day it is launched. That the percentage of losers is more or less fixed from the start. Oh, Sam, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you are evil, the world is upside down. So yeah, I don't think I'm evil. I am just someone who is concerned about consumers, and I want them to make informed choices. And I want people who have joined OnPassive to be able to make informed choices. Therefore, that is why those tools have been created. If you have not seen them, they are at hunbot.net, which I will put that in the chat too, so you guys can get it. That's where the tools are. So there you have it. Okay. Next is the secret of growth. The Carl Rodenberg and Nutrilite story reports that on September 1st, 1945, Rodenberg signed the exclusive agreement with Mittinger and Castleberry that was drawn up in anticipation of rapid growth, addressing contingencies relating to size and volume. The story does not explain why there would have been cause for anticipation of rapid growth, except to imply that all along it was just more effective sales management that had been needed for Nutrilite to suddenly become an exploding sales phenomenon. Even if the sales management factor were that important, the story does not account for why it would have been assumed that a former cemetery plot salesman who had not done sales work in 5 years and a psychology counselor with just 2 part-time jobs warranted a presumption of stupendous success. The plan the only new element in the business, is not referenced as a cause for this presumption of growth. Yet, as events quickly unfold, a monumental expansion in accordance with the plan's explosive mathematical design does indeed ignite. I will go over because here there is a table that tells you Neutralite's reported retail revenue. In 1944, it's 24,000. 1945, 50,000. 46, 750,000. 47, 2,096,000. 48, 4,584,000. 49, 5,968,000. 1950, 9,740,000. 51, 10,567,000. 52, 12,425,000. 53, 16,319,000. 54, 25,222,000. 56, 26,514. 58, 19,145,000. Hey, Joe, thanks for joining, sweetheart. The plan, in theory, could cause 40 agents to expand to a point where everyone on Earth would eventually be selling the product, as Mittinger was quoted. In fact, 40 agents worked for Neutralite at the moment of signing on September 1st, 1945. In the first 8 months of 1945, prior to the contract signing and implementation of the plan, Neutralite averaged monthly revenue of about $2,000, indicating a mean average sales volume per distributor of $50 per month in 1945 dollars. Yeah, so when you hear 50, don't think of like how we think of $50 today. In 45, that was a lot of money. The highest estimated commission paid based on sales volume was 40% or $20 per month on average before deducting all expenses. And see, that's where they get you too, is that you do have expenses that you pay for, but you don't always realize that you have these expenses. So if you have any commissions and you take the expenses into account, you end up upside down. That's where they get you. That's where they get you. The Neutralite product offering had clearly never demonstrated much of an income opportunity for Warrenberg or for his 40 distributors. Suddenly, in the 4 months following the contract signing between Roenberg, Mittinger, and Castleberry, revenues increased to more than $8,500 per month, resulting in 1945 annual revenue more than doubling from the previous year to $50,000. But this was only a spark for the firestorm of expansion that followed. In gross data, the first 9 years of Neutralite's explosive launch under the plan appear to show powerful organic growth on a foundation of year after year success. In reality, Neutralite was not growing in the sense most people understood how a large company develops by building a larger and larger base of loyal customers. Neutralite's explosive increase in revenue merely reflected that pyramid recruiting was strongly outpacing the rate of quitting. In just 16 months, Mittinger and Castleberry's plan catapulted Roenberg's little business from monthly retail revenue of $2,000 to more than $60,000 per month. It did this without changing the lineup or the pricing of the company's products or carrying out a significant advertising program. And despite a scandal that engulfed the company starting in 1949, when it was prosecuted by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, was making false health claims. Neutralite sales just kept growing explosively. By 1950, sales reached $9.7 million, then $12.5 million in 1951, hitting $25.2 million in 1954. The expansion was unrelated to the product pricing or its sullied reputation. In the annals of sales, this is an astonishing event, but especially so for those involved in labor-intensive door-to-door selling in the vitamin business. Predictably, the plan was quickly carbon copied with the similar amazing growth results for imitators. How or why becoming a Nutrilite distributor would suddenly become so appealing to so many is not addressed in the mythic account. Romberg's personal life blossomed with the business, and he quickly found a new wife, put his son back in private school, and bought a new house. An avoidance of the pyramid factor in explaining Nutrilite's overnight success is likely reason Romberg's biography documents the growth of figures of Nutrilite only up to 1954. In these first 9 years after implementing the plan, Nutrilite's revenue exploded an astonishing 50,000%. But court data from a government prosecution of Nutrilite showed that immediately after the period of Nutrilite's growth drastically slowed and then steeply declined. From 1952 to 1954, revenues went up more than 100%. But in the next 2 years, 1954 to 56, revenue rose just 5%. In the next 2 years, 56 to 58, revenue declined 28%, wiping out the previous 5 years of increases. The trend of decline continued at Nutrilite another 6 years to where revenue in 1964 was less than 1950. Factoring inflation, Nutrilite's reported retail revenue in 1964 was less than one-third what it had generated in 1956. When the company was sold to Amway in 1972, factoring inflation, Nutrilite's reported retail revenues at the time were half what is generated 18 years before. The revenue pattern of Nutrilite, showing almost unheard of and inexplicable growth followed by a similarly inexplicable steep decline, is now known as pop and drop, a universal phenomenon among multi-level marketing enterprises, and one of the telltale signs that MLM bears no resemblance to direct selling. What appears to be growth is an illusion. There is no underlying foundation of customers or sales force. The extreme pop and drop phenomenon is inherent to the math and mechanics of the plan, making the pattern inevitable. One of the secrets of the pyramid to be militantly guarded with diversion and rationalization. The promise of unlimited rewards created a chain ladder mania of Nutrilite recruiting built no foundation of stable salespeople or steady retail customers. When the salespeople quit, generally their customers, if they had any, were lost also. There were no territories to take over when the new recruit joined the business and no existing customer list to build upon. The company could not stay viable without relentless recruiting to replace an enormous turnover of the losers it manufactured with assembly line precision. The recruiting process of pyramid selling, unlike that of direct selling, was not a factor of labor related to the storied hardships of personal sales. There was no broad base of salespeople gaining modest but viable income. MLM recruiting was instead an existential function to offset continuous collapse, as the lower ranks, which sourced most of the revenue, disappeared each year and never returned. It was not surprising, therefore, that soon after Nutrilite's decline set in from the late 1950s, 2 of Nutrilite's top recruiters defected and started a new company, directly copying Nutrilite's now proven plan. That first defection and duplication of Neutralite set the pattern that has not changed today and has produced thousands of new MLMs. All of them are copies of Neutralite. The defectors broke off to form a new company that was to be called Amway, destined to become the world's largest MLM and the progenitor of many more MLM clones. In 1972, Amway would acquire Neutralite, absorb its diminished force of recruiters, and incorporate the Neutralite potions into its product mix. The role of Neutralite ends in the MLM drama. Amway quickly takes center stage. Most important to the untold story of multi-level marketing, and as will be shown in the next chapter, it will be Amway's founders that make MLM, quote, legal, the most important development in MLM's worldwide spread. As top recruiters for Neutralite, the Amway founders witnessed how Neutralite, using clever legal maneuverings, survived the FDA prosecution for making dangerously false medical claims without actually changing its false claims. Using its own legal maneuverings and powerful backroom lobbying, Amway will survive pyramid fraud prosecution without actually changing its pyramid practices. Exactly. History repeats itself, says Jelly Snack. Absolutely. Hi, how is it Harry Singh? Good morning. You say, good morning, everyone, founder of the world. Good morning to you. I hope you are doing well. And Jelly Snack also says, I hope the three amigos are listening. Yeah, I hope they do too. But I mean, this book is paramount to understand what people get involved in, and they do it without this understanding. And that's why, Robert has laid it all out here. MLMs don't like Robert. They really don't like Robert. In fact, they don't like anybody criticizing them. Conning the court. Okay, the next chapter is called The Lore of Legality. Do you guys want me to keep on reading? Let me know in the chat. Just put like a yes. I'd play the Jeopardy song, but somebody might claim that. But I guess I can go do 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 do. But my voice is rather rough, so maybe not. Do you guys want me to continue? Just let me know. And I know it takes a while for you guys to get caught up with where I am speaking, because there is a delay. Just let me know in the chat if you want me to keep going, because I will do so. But I may not be able to finish it after, reading the first part of it. Let's see how long is. Oh, this next part is. It's not that long. It's not that long. It's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10 pages. 10 more pages. And then we will be at the next part where it just kind of like breaks off into something else. And I will tell you what it does. But just let me know if you want me to continue. Carry on. Okay. Go ahead. All right. This next part is called The Lore of Legality. Conning the court. In the mythological multi-level marketing, no aspect is more consequential than the contention that MLM was tested in the federal court and found to be perfectly legal. In 1979, Amway, the largest and oldest existing MLM, was exonerated by a judge of a charge brought by the FTC that it was an illegal endless chain. In the MLM legend, the court ruling is enshrined like scripture and referenced by MLM promoters as the ultimate judicial authority, without a hint of its extreme irony. The first line of legal defense among all MLMs against questions of deception, cultism, or a bogus income opportunity is, "We operate like Amway." The reality of this court ruling is radically different from the tale. The ruling of 1979 was not made in a federal district court, an appeals court, or by the Supreme Court, or any court presided over by a presidentially appointed federal judge, as might be supposed from the great status accorded the ruling. It was made by an administrative law judge, James P. Timothy, and administrative law judge, it's ALJ. So ALJs are paid by agencies for which they hear cases. Paid by agencies. Timony was brought in a year after the FTC's pyramid scheme case against Amway and was already underway. Judge Timony had never before adjudicated a pyramid scheme case. Prior to becoming an ALG, Timony had worked in FTC's Restraint of Trade division and in the General Counsel's office. After the Amway case, Timony heard cases from 17 different government agencies. He retired in 2003 and has never made a public statement or been publicly interviewed about his famous decision. There has never been an academic review of the ruling or an assessment of the validity of his conclusions, in which real-world sales experience, actual loss rates, and retail sales data are measured. Officially, ALJs are part of the executive branch, not the judiciary. They are appointed after passing a test and an interview in front of a panel. There are twice as many ALJs as there are federal court judges, and they hear twice as many cases. The majority of cases are individual disputes with the Social Security Office. The cases are called trial-like, but there is no option for a jury. Enforcement of their rulings requires formal acceptance by the government agency bringing the case. The agency has the option to appeal to an actual judicial court, or it could reject the decision. If the agency accepts the decision, the ALJ ruling, unlike a federal court ruling, is not binding on future actions of the agency. It is not necessarily applicable to any other case against other companies. ALJ decisions do not require the agency to use the rulings for general guidance to other similar companies regarding boundaries of legality. Today, in consumer protection cases, the FTC has essentially abandoned using ALJs in favor of legitimization in federal court. Despite the low status and non-binding nature of the ALJ decision, the FTC accepted the pyramid scheme exoneration in the Amway case without appeal. Ever since, the FTC has referenced the ruling as the model on which the entire multi-level marketing industry is defined, making MLM legal, fair, and legitimate, not inherently deceptive and harmful, unless an MLM company might be determined to operate otherwise. The formal acceptance was written by Commissioner Robert Pittos, I can't say the last name, Robert P, starts with P, one of that special class of attorneys and academics that moves back and forth between the regulatory agencies and law schools and politically connected law firms representing corporate clients particularly affected by regulation. This person led the FTC's Consumer Protection Bureau 1970 to 1973, when President Richard Nixon named Miles Fitzpatrick FTC chairman. The guy Pittsconey was made FTC commissioner from 1978 to 1981 under Jimmy Carter, and later commission chair 1995 to 2001 under Bill Clinton, during which term He oversaw the FTC's approval of the merger of America Online, AOL, and Time Warner. Did anybody here ever use AOL? Because I did. Just got to the gym? Oh, okay. Have a good one, Sam. Pizzowski, the guy that starts with a P, served as counsel to well-connected D.C. office of the law firm Arnold and Porter and taught antitrust law at Georgetown Law School. The antitrust backgrounds of both Judge Timoney and Commissioner Pizzowski, whatever it is, are reflected in the ALJ's ruling and in I cannot say his name, written acceptance of the commission at the cost of the consumer protection elements of the case. Imaginary retail fabricated rules. Judge Timoney's opinion that Amway was not an endless chain in violation of FTC law against unfair and deceptive trade practices was based on the unfounded and implausible claim made by Amway that its entire business was retail-based. The judge chose not to verify the retail sales chain with data or field research, relying instead on the accused company's word. Accepting retail selling as the company's primary activity, much of the rest of the case then dealt with competition and pricing. In reality, as Amway later disclosed, virtually no profitable retailing occurred, making pricing and competition with true retailers like Procter and Gamble irrelevant. The most memorable and consequential part of the ruling was based on Amway's claim that it had rules that ensured that revenue would always be based on retail selling, and that all salespeople were chiefly gaining their income and earning profits from retail selling, directly with their own retail sales or indirectly from retail sales of the genealogy of their recruits, called a downline. The rules were invented by Amway. They were not referenced by FTC attorneys in the initial complaint. They entered the case as evidence and proof that the company was retail-based. These rules, according to Amway, required every salesperson who received a bonus to have at least 10 retail customers monthly and to have resold 70% of all products ordered monthly to retail customers or to other salespeople. If the rules had been enforced, those who did not sell the goods they purchased received no bonuses, which the FTC found were the great majority. The payments to the recruiters were made by Amway and only to those that successfully recruited consumers to join the chain or purchase a quota of goods. No data were produced, however, to show how many customers, other than the people inside the closed recruiting chain, ever bought Amway goods on the open market. No data or evidence were presented showing average pricing or profit to the salespeople or the total volume of open market retail sales. Using raw data of company revenue and total number of recruits cited in the case of $200 million in revenue with 360,000 recruits. Sorry, I'm stumbling here. The monthly purchase per person among people on the recruiting chain was about $45 a month, impossibly small for retailing. Even though Amway paid its recruiters before retail sales were made, if any occurred at all, Judge Timoney accepted Amway's word that the rules guaranteed that people on the recruiting chain were never induced to buy goods as to cost to join the recruiting chain or maintain eligibility for recruiting-based rewards. The claim that after the recruits made the purchases, retail sales occurred was accepted without verification. After the judge's ruling, the claim to include the Amway rules in their own policies became the primary defense of every MLM against pyramid scheme charges. Neither the judge nor the FTC inquired whether or not the rules actually prevented the deception and harm inherent to a pyramid recruiting plan. The deception would include being falsely induced to sign the contract and make purchases in the expectation of gaining income from retailing or recruiting. Neither the judge nor the FTC looked at the business directly as it operated on the street. To this day, the validity of the rules to ensure retail selling and to prevent deception and harm has never been verified, and the FTC has made no inquiry. Yet, in the acceptance of the ruling, Commissioner Fitzpatrick, whatever it is, wrote and quoted from the ruling, quote, Amway's 10 customer rule makes retail selling an essential part of being a distributor. Specifically, the Amway plan is not a plan where participants purchase the right to earn profits by recruiting other participants who themselves are interested in recruitment fees rather than sales of products. Apparently, neither the judge nor Commissioner Fitzpatrick considered the possibility that the rules which Amway invented and made part of its defense might be fake, ineffective, or just irrelevant to the deceptiveness and harmfulness inherent to any endless chain income proposition. They did not ask, for example, what sales company would ever need to require its sales force to make sales if the plan had not falsely induced them to buy the goods, or if they believed they could gain income in some other way. They seemingly saw no cause to suspect that inducing recruits to purchase goods with quotas might be tied to receiving recruiting rewards. They appeared to believe that thousands of people were signing up to reap minimal rewards from unverified retailing of Amway commodities, rather than from the unlimited wealth that Amway promised from recruiting. In the same vein, they apparently saw no contradiction in salespeople personally retailing and then being rewarded for signing up their own retail competitors. The judge and the FTC commissioner even cited data showing a potential of perhaps $3 a week in average retail profit per person before selling costs and taxes are deducted, if all the products were actually retailed. The court also cited evidence that much of the products purchased by the recruits was never sold but was personally consumed. Still, the judge saw nothing amiss in this picture, nor was curiosity awakened by Amway's phenomenon. U.S. revenue increased from $4.3 million in 1963 to $161.1 million in 1976, an increase of about 3,800%. The question as to why almost 200,000 people a year would sign up to gain average retail profit of less than $3 a week before expenses from selling laundry soap seemingly did not occur to Judge Timoney or Commissioner Fitzpatrick, whatever his name is, or her name is. The two antitrust attorneys showed more concern about mythical retail pricing and allowing Amway to compete with Procter & Gamble, which the Judge Timoney called oligopoly. I don't know what that is. Flaming red flags. Hi there. I certainly am not going to be able to say your name, but it starts with a B and then it's Saw 384. Thank you very much for the pink hand waving. I always enjoy getting those so very much. Flaming red flags. For every red flag of deception and pyramid scheme cited by the FTC staff attorneys in the original complaint or during discovery, Amway had a business or direct selling answer that persuaded the judge. These red flags included false income claims of lifetime residuals, sudden and extraordinary growth, promises of great income based on duplication and multiplication of recruiters recruiting recruiters. 3/4 of the newest recruits quit within a year. Overall annual turnover rate of 50 to 60% of all participants, yet the hundreds of thousands of departing recruits left no repeat retail customers behind for the new ones to build upon. Month to month, revenue tracked directly with recruiting levels, and average revenue per recruit remained constant. All recruits signed sales contracts, though they underwent no formal sales training, and no evidence was offered that most ever sold any products at all. Only 25% of the entire sales organization gained any of the lucrative recruiting-based bonuses, and most of them made almost nothing. Yet a few at the top of the recruiting chain received enormous payments. Largest expenditure of the company was for payments to recruiters. Business was afraid to be based on retailing, but retail selling was not company verified, company managed, and the company did not compensate for retailing. Recruiting chain had no territorial restriction, and every salesperson was encouraged to recruit more salespeople, yet all were told market areas could never have too many salespeople, and the company advertised an extraordinary income opportunity, but in fact, virtually no participants gained any net revenue. This next little part is called Psst, Buddy. The Amway story to recruits, that is a direct selling business, runs by pious and conservative executives, offering opportunity to sell household products served by the innocuous and plausible introduction. But it was the plan that later would be explained, the one invented by Mittinger and Castleberry at Neutralite, and which Amway copied, that enabled Amway to make the electrifying claim it had special access to unlimited rewards it could offer recruits. The plan was the basis on which Amway could make the astounding promise of wealth beyond imagination. These are claims that no other direct selling company could plausibly make. The cruel rigors, the human limits, and sheer loneliness of real direct selling were all too well known. The direct selling business story provided the rationale for soliciting enormous numbers of marks to sign sales contracts and charging in advance for sales kits based on the income proposition. This was the equivalent of what legal scholar Arthur Leff called the Psst, Buddy approach. The story almost convinced the judge that although almost no recruits ever made a net profit, Amway's extraordinary references to unlimited income were not callously deceptive and capable of causing a mass mania. Rather, in the tradition of Dale Carnegie courses, these references were merely inspirational and motivational. The FTC agreed with this, and the commissioner affirmed the view that generalized income claims by Amway were not misleading, calling them vague puffs, which few people, if any, would take literally. The Green magistrate had apparently never attended one of Amway's opportunity rallies, seen the expressions on the faces of attendees, and watched the ecstatic responses to Amway's income promises. He was apparently unaware of the hysteria an unlimited income promise can produce. This was the same fanaticism historically associated with the famous tulip mania periodic real estate bubbles, gold rushes, and other popular delusions. In 2004, NBC Dateline took hidden cameras into Amway recruiting events, including a mass rally in South Carolina. More than 10,000 people gathered in a huge darkened auditorium. Each attendee held a lighted candle as they followed an Amway promoter in a thunderous chant, "Freedom, freedom, flush that stinking job," based on Amway's claim to offer them unlimited income. The recruits were exhorted to quit, flush, whatever work or profession they were doing. From my own experience running a consumer education website for 19 years and serving in more than 30 court cases, I have personally and repeatedly seen instances of MLM victims divorcing spouses, neglecting children, and bankrupting themselves and their families in the quest for unlimited income that Amway and other MLMs promised. Some have this is awful. Some have committed suicide as their dreams were not fulfilled, and they had flushed all their career pathways and social relationships. In the final ruling of the Amway case, 1979, Judge Timoney dismissed the entire phenomenon, later to be identified by cult experts and psychologists as undue influence and mind control by others as the classic big lie. Judge Timoney and then the FTC accepted Amway's claim that business was not based on rewarding recruiting, but on retailing, even though Amway increased payments to recruiters per transaction based on increasing income, based on increased recruiting. Any experienced door-to-door salesperson in the tradition of Fuller Brush or Avon of that time would likely have seen the model as unworkable as the retail sales business and would have found the incentive to recruit your own competitors in your own sales area incomprehensible. Experienced salespeople in any field would quickly see the entire pay plan was oriented to recruiting because the high incomes, indeed, any net income at all, could only be gained from recruiting. The contradictions and possibilities of Amway's story were fully grasped by government attorneys, led by the FTC staff Joseph Brauman. In the initial complaint filed in 1975, FTC staff attorneys had argued the obvious. The greater the number of distributors or dealers previously recruited, the lower the chances of a profitable distributorship or dealership operation. Apparently, the FTC attorneys did not believe that it required significant explication. They did, however, support the premise with carefully gathered research data showing saturation in the specific areas where Amway recruited. In 1970, the U.S. Census showed only 71 million households. In 1977, at 360,000 salespeople currently enrolled, each Amway distributor, therefore, have less than 200 households on average to recruit or even to sell to. Factoring all the millions unable and uninterested to buy and more than 1 million ex-Amway distributors, the true per capita market for the hapless new Amway recruits was pitifully insufficient. Even Amway's own disclosed data showed massive losses and turnover at the lower levels of the chain and extraordinary rewards gained by a few at the top. Just as neutralized attorneys had baffled the FDA with diverting disclaimers, while still managing to promote its potions as miracle cure-alls, Amway's attorney-led administrative law Judge Timoney and Commissioner Pittos, whatever it is, into a radical labyrinth linking infinite expansion to free enterprise and turning the doomed pursuit of income in an endless chain scheme into an American dream story. Timoney's ruling and the FTC's affirmation written by Commissioner Pittos establish an entirely new economic paradigm, a legalized pyramid scheme. Under this newly ordained model, previously viewed as prima facie, fraud based on its physical and commercial impossibility, financial rewards could be legally promised to paying participants based on the astonishing claim of a genealogical marketing chain that extends forever, is incapable of generating money to all who join without limit. Okay, and this now takes us to interlude. This is not a pyramid scheme. I think that's where I am going to end because my voice is really kind of slipping here and all. Not like it's great to begin with, and I know this is not like something popular that people rush to come over and see, but this is really important stuff, guys. This is so important for people to read and understand. It's documented. And it is also denied by people who have joined these companies and the companies themselves. So that's all that I had for you tonight. I hope you had I hope this gave you some insight. I'll give you the link again if you want to get the audiobook or the Kindle or the paperback. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can get all of those and, listen to it. I think I have the book, and I also, obviously I have the book, so I'm showing you I have the book. I also have the audiobook, so I've read it and I've listened to it, while walking. And so there you go. There is a link to purchase Ponzinomics, written by Robert Fitzpatrick. And I've had Robert on my channel a number of times, and he's always been so gracious to be able to come on and, speak openly about these things. So I appreciate that in him so very much. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening. Thank you all to my mods. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to the lurkers. Thank you to my channel members and to my patrons. Thank you to the replay crew and to the whoop whoop catch-up crew. Well, you get a whoop whoop for the replay crew as well. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you next time. And I may be reading some more of this, or I may be doing something else, because I do have some stuff on foodie beauty. And it's just so disturbing. But I also have so much more of this to read to you guys. So I may read some more of this tomorrow. And please let me know in a comment under the video if you would like me to read more, what your thoughts and opinions are about my reading this fourth part of Ponzinomics, and all of that. I really do believe this is a book that everybody should have. And, it probably is available in your local library, or at least, look for it and maybe suggest to the librarian, if they don't have it, that they get it, because there's an interest in, for patrons to read it. Anyway, don't forget, you're beautiful and I love you. Until next time, bye all.